Welcome to the Christian Romance Podcast, where we go behind the books with inspiring Christian romance authors, exploring faith, love, and the journey that brings the story to life. I'm your host, Kelly Jo Wilson, and today we're welcoming back Liz Johnson. Liz is a New York Times bestselling author of more than 20 novels, including Beyond the Times, The Last Way Home, and Summer in the Spotlight. She's also the beloved author behind the Georgia Coast Romance and Prince Edward Island Dreams series. When she's not writing heart-stirring stories of faith and romance, Liz works in marketing and makes her home in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, though she's often dreaming of summer days on the shores of Prince Edward Island. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the episode so you can hear more about our newest book giveaway for this month. Now, here's my conversation with Liz. Hi, Liz. I am so happy to have you back on the Christian Romance Podcast.
Hi, Kelly. I'm so glad to be here. It's always such a treat.
Yes, you are a treat. I will tell you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my gosh, yes. I cannot wait to hear about this book. It sounds super, super fun. And I love contemporary. That's my fave. So I can't wait to hear about this romance. Before we get started, though, why don't you just let our listeners know a little more about you? Maybe, even how you got into your writing journey and just the kind of stories that you write.
Yeah. So I've been writing for so long now. I wanted to say 20 years, but I've actually been publishing for 15 years. My first book came out in 2009. So I've been writing professionally for a long time and was writing unprofessionally for a lot longer. I wrote my first short story when I was 7, and I wrote my first novel when I was 12. And it's so bad, like so bad, and it's in a drawer somewhere and will never see the light of day. But that's what I love about writing is like a lot of skills. It just, the more you practice, the better you get. And so I was practicing from a very young age and just have always kept at it. I've just always had just a passion for words and a love of creating. And I just feel like that's, a gift that God has given me. And so I just want to keep using it. And so my first book came out in 2009. It was romantic suspense with love-inspired suspense. And I wrote 10 books for them and then kind of decided that I had other stories I wanted to tell that maybe didn't revolve around suspense. And mostly I had a story idea set on Prince Edward Island. And so that became The Red Door Inn, which was just a contemporary romance set on PEI, and my favorite place in the world. And so I keep writing books set there because I love it so much.
I love it. Yes. And I'm so glad you said that because The Red Door Inn. So we talked last time you were here about meddling with mistletoe, which was so cute. So, and you created this like world with The Red Door Inn. So why don't you talk a little bit about kind of some of the unique characters that are with The Red Door Inn stories?
Yeah. So The Red Door Inn it's a fictional bed and breakfast. And I can't tell you how many emails and messages I've gotten asking, is this real? Can I go here? And I want to say yes, but the truth is that the first time I visited North Rustico, PEI, I was heartbroken because it was the cutest, quaintest place, and it did not have a bed and breakfast. There was no inn, there was no place that you could stay. And I was heartbroken because I wanted to stay there. I thought it was so adorable. And there are like some cabins and a few other things that you can stay sort of in the area. But there was no inn right along the boardwalk, which I thought there should be. And so I looked up at this house that was sitting on kind of overlooking the harbor. And I said, that's the house that should be an inn. And in my mind, that just became the Red Door Inn. And I'll tell you why it was named the Red Door. It's because my first trip there, everywhere we looked, my mom and I saw red doors on houses, on businesses, on barns, it didn't matter. It was like there were red doors everywhere. And I asked someone, why all these red doors? And they couldn't really give me an answer. It was sort of like, I don't know. It's just, it's popular. It's a thing. And I wasn't satisfied with that answer. And so I said, I want to know more. I want to know why why everybody seems to paint their doors red. And so when I got back from PEI that first trip, I Googled it. And sure enough, Google had an answer. I don't know if it's accurate, but I really liked it. And what they said is that in a snowstorm, in a blizzard, red is sometimes the only color that you can see. And so a red door indicates safety and a safe harbor. And I was like, I love this. I was like, okay, so the Red Door Inn became this place of safety and security and sort of this harbor for broken hearts. I sort of had this idea that Prince Edward Island is a place where broken hearts can find healing and broken people can find healing. And so I wanted to give them a place where they could do that. And that became the Red Door Inn. And so the first book, The Red Door Inn, involved Marie, and she was a young woman who was heartbroken because of her father's betrayal and some really terrible things that had happened in her life. And she runs away and ends up on her way to PEI and meets Jack, who is starting this inn in honor of his late wife. And she meets Jack's nephew, Seth, who they immediately butt heads. Neither of them like the other one very well. But they slowly begin to realize that they're working towards the same thing, getting this inn open. And it's a sweet story of healing and sort of recognizing who God is as our Father. So anyway, so that was sort of the start. And I love that Marie keeps showing up in all the Red Door Inn books because she really was the heart of that first story. And so, yeah, so she shows up in Meddling with Mistletoe, but she also shows up in the new book, Sometimes You Stay.
Oh yeah, and she's a really fun character from from reading her and Meddling with Mistletoe. She's really cute, and she has like kind of a sassiness about her, but like a sweetness too. Yeah, she's really fun.
Yes.
What
in this book, she very much is like, she's kind of like Finn, the main character. She's kind of his older sister. Like they're not related by blood, but they know each other well. And he puts his foot in his mouth a couple times and she kind of gives him a kick in the pants. Like, that's not acceptable. That's not how we talk to our friends. So she definitely has like big sister energy. She's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. That's always fun. That is always fun. What an awesome, I'm so glad that you shared that about the little backstory about the Red Door, because I was like hoping whenever you said that nobody really had a reason or nobody knew, I was hoping that there was a neat little thing behind it. And even, I love how you're like, I don't know if it's true, but I'm going with it.
I embraced it 100%. I was like, it's one of those things where, maybe there's a lot of reasons to paint your door red, but if this is even, one of them, I'm going to embrace that reason. And that's definitely the reason why it's the Red Door in my books.
Yeah, I love that, especially like just symbolizing the safe space, the safe harbor. I think that that's wonderful, especially because if it's a setting that shows up in multiple books of people with broken hearts that are healing, I just think that that's so wonderful and just like a lovely sentiment. And it's just so unique. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love hearing little backstory tidbits like that. So I was curious about this because I'm like, this Red Door Inn, as I'm like reading the book description, I'm like, this was in Meddling with Mistletoe too.
Yes.
So super, super fun. I was going to say, so with the Prince Edward Island, I was going to ask you a little bit more about that too, because I saw on your website how you said that you really love that place, like how you went to that place with your mom and everything. Where is that located exactly?
Yeah. So Prince Edward Island is it is northeast of Maine.
Oh, okay.
So when you think about a map of the US and Canada kind of comes and wraps around Maine a little bit, I always think Maine is sticking out in the ocean, and it does have a lot of sea, it's got some coastline, but is it New Brunswick and Nova Scotia kind of curve around Maine a little bit. And then PEI is wrapped in this little bay what's it called? The Gulf of St. Lawrence, maybe. Please don't, please don't come at me if I got that
No
wrong.
worries at
But
all. I have no idea. That's why I was
yes,
asking you. I was like,
yeah,
I thought it was up north a little bit, but
yeah. So it's northeast of Maine, but it is not in the Eastern time zone. It's one more east of that, so it's in
oh,
Atlantic time zone. And a lot of listeners may be familiar with it because of Anne of Green Gables.
mm-hmm.
That's where the author Lucy Bond Montgomery was born on PEI, and lived there for many, many years. And that's where the majority of her books are set.
That's really fun. And I feel like with islands like that too, you can have like a lot of fun with that, like with the different
Mm-hmm.
series and stuff, just because people, especially up in that area, because if it's a little bit of a tourist attraction, especially
Yes.
being an inn, having the Red Door
Yeah.
in there, you can have different people come and go, which is fun.
Yes. Yes.
Now this book, Sometimes You Stay,
Mm-hmm.
this is very interesting. I feel there's themes that I am very excited to chat with you about going on in this book. So why don't you talk about it a little bit, and then we'll get a little deeper into the characters and stuff.
Sure. Sure. So this is a story of Cretia and Finn. Cretia is she is a travel influencer. She is a digital content creator. She travels the world. She does not have a home. She is constantly on the go, and everything that she owns is in her carry-on suitcase and her backpack. And I just think that would be the worst thing ever. As a notorious overpacker, I could not live like that. But I really wanted a character who, for reasons that are explained, she doesn't want a home. She sort of thinks of a house as just a place to collect stuff. And she doesn't want stuff to tie her down. So she travels the world. She makes videos and has other followings online that support her. Millions of views on her videos, things I don't know that much about, and had to learn about to write her. And so she ends up planning to spend 2 days on Prince Edward Island. And she's in North Rustico because her seatmate on the airplane was telling her about the boardwalk in North Rustico, and you've got to go see it. And it's beautiful. And it is, like, in real life, it's gorgeous. And so she's up there and she's on the boardwalk, and she comes across the lobster fishermen coming back from their day of fishing, and she's at the dock, and she's like, oh, they're throwing their traps around and they're doing this, that, the other, and she's capturing it all on video, and she's loving it. But she's so focused on that she does not realize that she's about to run into someone, and she smacks right into Finn, our hero, bounces off of him and ends up in the water, along with all of her stuff. So her suitcase floats away. It sinks and then and is gone. And her backpack, which has all of her laptop and tablet and phone and everything is ruined. Nothing is salvageable. She cracks her phone, went on the fall in. And anyways, so all of the tools of her trade are gone. And now she's stuck. She's lost. She has her passport still, though quite waterlogged, but she's lost all her credit cards. She's lost. So now, and she lives a very digital life, but she has nothing to connect with anymore. And so she's got to replace all of her electronics, and wait for them to arrive to her in North Rustico, PEI. And so Finn, who feels terrible about what happened, he offers to help her, and the best thing he can think to do is to take her to the Red Door Inn, which isn't quite open yet for the tourist season. But Marie, his good friend, is there and totally willing to take Cretia in. And so Cretia is now stuck in PEI as she waits for her stuff to get replaced. But she is also discovering what maybe she's been missing out on while being on the road.
Oh my gosh, Cretia, all of her things. Like she does
all of her things.
I mean, it's like so crazy because it's everything.
Yes.
And for her traveling, that's all she has. So she has to, oh my gosh, I'm already like palpitations for her. Meanwhile, you're like, I used to write suspense, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, she lost herself. Oh, that's so funny. But I love that Finn immediately feels bad and like sets her up at
Oh,
the Red
yes.
Door Inn. That's very
Yes.
sweet.
Yes. He's horrified by what happened. And Finn is a dog trainer and breeder. He breeds Newfoundland dogs, which are, if you've never seen one, they're big, like they're real big and they're furry and they drool a lot. And they're like super warm and great companions. And, but they're like they were raised and bred in Newfoundland. And so they're used to the cold. And so they're often used for, and they're really good at water rescue. And so that's what he trains a lot of his dogs for. But he has a pet dog, Joe Jr., who's just a little bit off. He's just a little bit dopey. He's kind and sweet, but he does not do what he's supposed to most of the time. So he would not cut it as a rescue dog. And therefore, he's turned into a Finn's pet. And so Joe Jr. actually is the one who jumps in the water to save Cretia when she falls in. And it's just about the only right thing he does the whole book. But he was a lot of fun to write. And so, yeah, so Finn is looking to grow his family business. He's a third generation to own this family business. And so he's really looking at how can I improve on what my dad and my grandfather did? And he has this sort of worry that he won't meet his dad's expectations or that he won't do enough. And so he really wants to expand the business and do something bigger, but he doesn't quite know what that is or how to do that. And he's making it financially, but just barely making it. And so, so anyway, so he was a super fun character because he super wants to help Cretia. He does not understand what her job is. He has no understanding of her job, but he wants to care for her after this accident. And so anyway, so he ends up like letting her use his computer and things like that to help replace the things that she's lost.
Oh, that is so cute. I was going to ask you because I saw a dog on the cover and I was like, oh, I love that you went into talking about the dog because I'm like, oh my gosh, is there a dog in this? Because of course, I love dogs. Of course, dogs are the best. And how fun is Joe Jr. because he goes in and saves her, but doesn't know how to save anyone else.
No,
but he's clutch. We love Joe Jr. He's still clutch.
Right. He comes through when you need him to. But of course, Cretia didn't see him before she fell in, so she doesn't think it's a dog saving her. She thinks there's a bear trying to maul her in the water. So then, things go a little crazy, but that's all in the first and second chapter. So I don't think I'm giving too much away, but it's it's really fun. And it's really fun because Finn, I sort of view Finn as this character who he just takes in strays. So he has his dogs that he breeds and they're purebreds and they're, great animals. And he sells them to like a lot like veterans therapy kind of animal nonprofits and things like that, where they're service dogs, they're like literal rescue dogs. They're, all these different great things. And that's what he does with his dogs that he's breeding. But he has this barn on his farm, and anytime somebody has an animal that they don't know what to do with, he ends up taking it in. So he's got goats, and he has a one-eyed cow named Roberta, and he has bunny rabbits, and he just keeps getting animals because he sort of is known as somebody who, even if he doesn't know how to care for them, he'll figure it out because he cares about animals and he cares about strays. And it's sort of fun because he's used to taking in strays, and along comes Cretia, and she's sort of this random stray that he doesn't know what to do with her. And yet he wants to care for her and wants to make sure that she's taken care of.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. I love Finn. I feel like I have a little Finn in myself as well, just with
Oh,
the animals and stuff, you know? I mean, oh my
I love
gosh.
it.
Yes. If it weren't for my husband, we have a bunch of land. We have 8 acres. A lot of it is on like woods.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, oh my gosh, the cow. Oh, the one-eyed cow. That's adorable. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. I love Finn already.
Roberta is one of my favorites in there. And I had so much fun writing. I don't usually write about a lot of animals. So I had a lot of fun giving these animals personality and giving them like Roberta takes an instant dislike to Cretia for whatever reason. and and so then Cretia's she's not sure what to do with Roberta. Here's a giant animal who clearly dislikes her. And yeah, so it just, it was a lot of fun to give these animals personality and have them interact with the main characters. Because a lot of times, animals they're just sidekicks, but these are really characters in the story. And I loved that for them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because they definitely all have their own little personalities and they're popping out.
Yes.
And especially if, like Joe Jr., if he's not doing what
Mhm.
he's supposed to be doing, like it
Yes.
can cause a lot of havoc and a lot of tension, really,
Yes.
between, the Finn and Cretia, especially.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. I was going to ask you, I'm happy that you said about the Newfoundlands
Mhm.
being like known for water sports and things like that. Are
Mhm.
they the ones where their hair is like kind of coiled looking?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. I must be
Yeah.
thinking of a different breed. I wonder what those are called. But I do remember Newfoundlands
I don't
being
know.
good, like you said, with water
Yeah.
rescue and things like that.
Yeah. They're really furry,
Hmm.
like, and it's long, straight fur, and they're often black, although there are other colors, like you can get a brown one but yeah, often they're pure black and with long, straight hair and kind of a not a pointed snout, but just they've got a little snout on them. Anyway, they're beautiful dogs, and they're just yeah they're amazing animals. Everybody I've talked to who's owned one
Hmm.
has been like, oh, they're the best and they're so fun, but they really are cut out for cold climates
Mm.
because of their fur. In fact, I live in Phoenix and I have a friend here who has a Newfoundland, and just a couple weeks ago she had to get his fur cut because it was just way too hot for him. And she's like, yeah, we're getting ready for the summer and he just can't handle it. And I was like, yeah, I get that.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Especially by you. I mean, it can get really hot there, I would imagine. So,
Yes.
yeah, keeping up with the
Yes.
grooming would definitely be essential for them. What tropes would you say are kind of in this? Because it kind of sounds like she's a fish out of water. It sounds
Hmm.
like they're opposites.
Yes.
Definite
Yes.
force proximity. Any other ones you can think of that would kind of fit?
Oh, absolutely. All three of those for sure, for sure. Definitely an opposites attract and the forced proximity. Cretia doesn't necessarily want to be there. She certainly doesn't want to be there long term. And she hasn't stayed in any place this long since she's been on the road. So for 4 years, she's lived very nomadic life. Um, yeah, I think that there's also like found family,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
say, is definitely one of the tropes here. Just the idea of friendship being, um, you know, being more than your real family sometimes. So yeah, but definitely in terms of like romance, it's um, yeah, there's uh, definitely that opposites attract, that sort of I don't understand you, but I'm fascinated by you
Yes,
mix.
for sure.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I do love the tropes of like friends, lovers, enemies, that kind of thing. But
Hmm.
I do also like when it's because I feel like it's realistic. If he's bumping into her, he has already
Hmm.
this affinity for strays, like you said,
Yeah.
with stray animals and stuff. And he
Hmm.
is fascinated by her because her life is so different and he just
Yeah.
doesn't understand. And I feel like I mean, that can go one of two ways. It can be, opposites in a way like, oh, I want nothing to do with that. Or
Yeah.
with him, it sounds like he just has a soft heart that he
Yes.
wants to learn more about her and really help her too,
Yeah.
see if he can help her, which is really awesome. I
Yeah.
always feel like that. My husband's kind of a techie and I'm good with technology and things like that, but he's worked
Hmm.
in telecom for years. And every time I would hear like on a call or something, saying these like really technical specs and like all this stuff.
Yes.
And then he'll get off the call and I'm just like staring at him, like with this like look, like
Yes.
attracted to him because he's
Yes.
talking about all this stuff. And he's
It's
like,
like, oh, you're
what?
so smart. And you're like,
know.
all these things I don't know. And,
Yes.
and that's, yes.
Exactly.
Yes, I totally get that.
Oh, it's so funny. It's just so funny how it works like that. But I love it. It sounds wonderful. Just a couple, because we're almost at time. So just a couple more questions though, because I was curious about, so she's the content creator, kind of afraid of settling down essentially because she's been, on the road for 4 years. She's been having this nomadic life. I'm wondering like, how did you kind of create that? Or what do you feel about the theme behind like that created online life versus like the behind the scenes authentic life? Is that kind of something that you explore in the book here too? Like that kind of theme of like how it's so different?
Yeah, I definitely explore it in the book. Just this idea of, she's been creating content and building this community online. And there's, and I want to be clear that I love online communities and I think that they're great. And I also think that sometimes we miss out on real life connection because we're so focused on online connection. And so for Cretia, she is entirely focused on her online connections. And as she spends time with Marie at the inn, who becomes sort of this big sister, this encourager, this woman who literally welcomes her into her home and says, hey, help yourself to the leftovers in the fridge, or like, hey, and for Cretia, it's moments like, oh, she hasn't had access to a fridge in a home that's stocked and filled with leftovers in 4 years. Like this is entirely new to her as an adult. And so so she sort of is like recognizing, oh, here's a friendship. And I don't know what this is like. I don't know what it's like to have a real life friend. Like she knows about like connecting with other content creators, like, oh, hey, we were in the same city at the same time and we met up and we did a video collaboration or something. And those are wonderful. But if we miss out on that in-person connection, I think we're missing out on like just this huge part of life that God has created us for. Like he's created us for relationship. And so if we never have that face-to-face time, those face-to-face relationships, I think we're missing out on what he's designed us to be. And it's not to say that we can't have relationships and friendships and communities online. And those can be wonderful and encouraging and powerful. But sometimes I think I know that I personally, it's really easy to sort of focus on those rather than focusing on the in-person ones. I'm so focused on the digital to the detriment of my in-person relationships. And so Cretia definitely like comes to this strange new understanding of what it means to be friends and what it means to actually be in a relationship with someone.
I think that that's going to really resonate with a lot of people, who read the story because, it just being part of the world today and even like 10 years ago, it was different, right? So it changes so much. And I love that you said that God really, really creates us for relationships, not just with him, but with each other.
Yes.
A really neat thing that during one of my Bible studies in the morning, I guess just in the teaching, just kind of the Holy Spirit was like teaching me about, and I listened to Charles Stanley, and what he said that we have a vertical relationship with God, but a horizontal relationship with our, everyone else, right? Of the church with other people. And I thought, well, what does that picture if you would draw that across, right?
Yeah.
Which is so crazy. Like I was like, oh my gosh, it was like such a revelation.
Yes.
Because, and then Jesus says, take up your cross and follow me. So I don't know. It was just such a neat picture that we have this relationship with God and then with one another as well. And it's really important. And I think that you just said it so beautiful. Like sometimes it's so easy for us to kind of disconnect. It's really kind of a disconnect, even though we feel like we're getting we might have feel good sensation while we're like scrolling or looking at emails or even,
Right.
all the notifications and such. But in reality, it's really a disconnect
Yeah.
from, because it's so different in person, or even
Hmm.
just a phone call, right? Like even talking
Yes.
on the phone
Yeah.
versus, or even texting, but talking on the
Hmm.
phone, like real interaction, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Or like these, how we're meeting too, like
Right.
real actual, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a virtual call, which I love technology for this, but I
Right.
mean,
Right. But
interaction.
there is something about that one-on-one,
Hmm.
and that we're about having those conversations that you have, like, I mean, you and I shared a little conversation before
Hmm.
we started recording today, and it's like just having those conversations is a connection that is separate from what the rest of the world hears or the
Yeah.
rest of the world has access to. And so just having those one-on-one conversations, those one-on-one moments of connection, I think are so important. And yet often we fail to have those. And I think for Cretia in this book, she's like, she doesn't remember how to make those
Mm.
connections. And so until she's forced to. And so I hope none of us are forced to, but sometimes it's like, oh, like it was a good reminder to me, like maybe I need to set my phone aside and call my sister and just, talk with her, or, call up a friend and get together for lunch, and hey, let's just connect in person, or and so like just setting aside my doom scrolling, like setting aside like just the hours that I waste doing other things when I could be connecting to others, and having sort of that, like you said, like those spiritual connections that we're called to have.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that's such a beautiful goal to really try to achieve, because it doesn't take too much. I mean, it's hard, right?
Right.
Well, everybody's busy, everybody has priorities.
Right.
But whenever you can connect with another person like that, and you
Hmm.
make them, that's you showing up, showing them
Yeah.
that they're a priority to you,
Right.
even just for like a lunch, like you said. I
Yeah.
feel like it can go so much farther than you would think, than even just
Right.
a text message or something. Yeah. I
Right.
feel like
Right.
that's a really good goal to have.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. And I definitely try to do that as well. Well, we are almost at time, Liz, and I love so much. These characters sound amazing, and I cannot wait to read it and see if Roberta ever comes around and likes Cretia.
Um, well, yeah, yeah.
No
I won't get,
spoilers.
I won't give away any spoilers.
But before we go, I usually like to ask the guests, which you know this too, because you gave us such a wonderful verse last time you were here. But was there any Bible verse that really encouraged you when you were writing
Mhm,
this book, or even
mhm.
just in your personal life during the you're writing this, or just personally?
Yeah. Yeah. So I always try and put a verse with the theme of my books. And I'll be honest, as I was writing this one, I didn't quite know what the spiritual theme was going to be. I was like, what is, where are we going with this? But as I got to the end, I sort of had this epiphany that love requires sacrifice.
Hmm.
And so that just took me right back to 1 John 3:16. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. And I think that for me was like I again, I didn't know this was where the story was going as I was writing it, but this is where it ended up. And I just was like, oh, that's powerful. Like that's the reminder that I need.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, when you think about what he did, no matter
Hmm.
what is going on in our head, because I know me personally, I've
Right.
struggled so much personally with just not feeling good enough and knowing like all these mistakes that I've made in my life. How could he
Hmm.
possibly love me? How could he
Right.
possibly forgive me? But he says so, right? So if you
Hmm.
believe him, you got to believe that, like that
Right.
he died for you no matter what.
Yes.
He chose you before
Yeah.
even the creation of the world. Like he chose you, laid down his life, he died for you.
Hmm.
And just that sentiment, like you said, just that sacrifice, that
Yeah.
part, aside from
Yeah.
everything else he's done, is
Yeah.
so humbling, right? It's
Yeah.
just so like bring
Yeah.
you to your knees. Oh my goodness, he sacrificed his life, who was perfect. He knew no
Yes.
wrong.
Right.
Very powerful. Thank you so much, Liz. And what a wonderful,
Yeah.
beautiful theme. And I can totally see how that would be interwoven throughout the story, just learning about it a little bit today and about your characters today. And I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I have a new, before we go, I want to tell you this, just thinking about like how brings you to your knees, like about Jesus.
Yeah.
I have been like listening to, have you ever heard Ann Wilson? The singer Ann Wilson.
Oh, yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. I like just discovered her, and she has this song, My Jesus. Like, let me tell you about my Jesus.
Yes.
That's what it makes me think of, is like getting to your knees. I just heard this
Mhm.
other song by her. It's called Strong. And it's kind of like about that. It's about him and how he like sacrifices, how, you know, he's what makes us strong. And oh my
Right.
gosh. So,
Yeah.
love Ann Wilson. Anyway, total side note, but
I love it.
anyway, thank you so much, Liz. I am so happy about this book. Why don't you let our listeners know where they can connect with you and where they can get a copy of it?
Sure. So you can connect with me online at lizjohnsonbooks.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at Liz Johnson Books. Pretty easy there. Sometimes You Stay is the name of the new book, and it is available wherever you like to buy books. If they don't have it in store, you can order it. And I always say, if you like to support indie bookstores like I do, Baker Book House out of Grand Rapids, Michigan happens to be one of my favorites. And they'll offer the book at 30% off plus free shipping. So you can't beat that. That's what I say. Yeah, Sometimes You Stay. You can get it. It's available in hardcover, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. So however you like to listen. And of course, your local library can get it too if you want to pick it up there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you for sharing that and these wonderful encouragements. I am so excited to read this, and just thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's always such a treat to chat with you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend, especially because we're celebrating Christmas in July all month long here on the podcast. To add a little extra cheer to your summer, I've teamed up with some fabulous Christian romance authors for a special giveaway featuring 5 heartwarming holiday reads, full of castles, cozy cabins, swoony heroes, and a whole lot of Christmas magic. Whether you're listening right when the episode drops or tuning in later, you can always enter the latest giveaway at ChristianRomancePodcast.com. One winner will take home all 5 books. Just our little way of making your July a bit more merry and bright. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, keep your faith, share the love, and happy reading.